Good afternoon, everyone. Uh, so let me first off by saying thank you to the predecessors that came before for highlighting the opportunities for 5G and why it's much needed in its current economic landscape, as well as the development of the human race as we continue down this path and our relationship with technology and our environment around us. I guess I'll start off. Oh, and also thank you very much to the. Oh, I went too far. To Yari and Petrie for bringing us to Norway and allowing us to really see that all of Norway has to offer, and just the spirit of innovation is really alive here, and you can see it in the interactions with the people and just the efficiency in which the city runs. I created my first startup at 19. This was just a basic footwear, apparel, manufacturing, dropship service from the US to Japan. At 24, I worked for the world's largest footwear provider and manufacturer in New York and Asia Pacific. And most recently, almost a decade ago, I created an AI-driven digital marketing agency as a tool for people to better connect with their ideas and the world at large. Most recently, we had a film on HBO called Fake Famous, where we actually tested the ramifications of instant fame versus real-life engagement, where we use automations of various types to engage with the environment around us in dubious settings to try and trick the algorithm into thinking that we were other places that were very glamorous, creating a fanciful life more so than the one in real life, which a lot of us kind of indulge in that fantasy every now and then. But we just wanted to just show the world that you can connect with your environment around you without having to necessarily fabricate it. I completed a recent AI executive program at MIT where we studied many different use case studies for AI, from machine learning to RPA to various automations, and just going through the process of, and within the last 5 decades of the inception of artificial intelligence and how we're not headed necessarily for the fourth wave like most people think. When it comes to robotics, there's actually only a finite amount of neurons that we can program into a robotic entity in the form of an algorithm, which would be the brain, and then automations, which would be the robotics piece. And so until we get to that point, robots are not going to take over the world. They're actually only as good as the data that we can put into them. But more or less, AI should be used as a function to better engage with your environment. With the advent of 5G, one second, please. So globally, there's actually 6.3 billion cell phones currently on the planet, and 80.6% of them are actually smart. And so that means that 80% of the world is actually utilizing a form of AI at any given time. If you search for directions on your way over here, you used AI. If you heard a favorite song on the radio and you Shazammed it, that's artificial intelligence. If you ever went to a vending machine and wanted a Coke or a water and a robot went up and went to your search and then took your credit card information, you've used AI. This is a study that was done to kind of go over the next 10 years of AI and its capabilities, and you have everything from artificial intelligence, physics-informed AI, when you're actually putting data into a mechanism to generate a result. There's automated platforms, there's responsible AI, when you think of self-driving and you think of the age-old question, does the vehicle actually swerve and not hit 10 people and save 10 people but injure the driver, or does the driver continue on and hit the 10 people to save himself? And so as we continue to go down this path of AI, we're constantly at war with what's ethical and what isn't. And so when you think of the ecosystem that Finland kind of has been able to provide for the world, not only is there a robust environment for testing and engagement that Mogi can actually serve by the use of 5G technologies and just showing the world this type of capability through Finland and its history of bringing forward innovations. and also intelligent applications brought upon by machine learning by some of the test sites that this ecosystem does provide. Most use cases that you've probably heard of, AI cloud computing services, IBM Watson, AWS, a lot of these actually, believe it or not, would not be possible without 5G. And so as we progress through life and you want to have a more efficient life, whether it's ordering food or trying to solve complex problems that human beings can't possibly do, or simply repetitive automations, whereas if you look at the current industrial landscape of the world, there's vast robots that have to execute very complex engagements of lifting 1 metric ton beams in a factory, whether it's a supply chain or an assembly line. We have to program that sentiment to let the robot know that humans may be present. And so we essentially have a long way to go in terms of, I guess, self-automated AI, but right now we're currently in the phase of 2 to 5 years where we have edge AI, we have knowledge graphs, we have smart robots, but at the end of the day, we're still programming those deep neural nets to facilitate greater outcomes for machine learning and inputting those processes to better run our world. The world essentially is in our hands. We're more connected more than ever. With the advent of 5G and the amount of cell phones and access that we have to actually engage with our environment in a way that's very seamless, that we may take for granted, that's exactly where we're headed. And 5G facilitates this simply because we won't have the bandwidth in our current platforms to continue down this path if we don't have increased capabilities of cloud computational services such as smart computers and also AI. Reminders to live by: adversity is your greatest teacher. When dealing with artificial intelligence, a lot of it is repetitive learning into an actual machine. 90% of AI solutions actually fail. So don't be surprised if you see all these companies popping up saying that they can do X, Y, and Z when they really can't. You're actually smarter than you think. The computer will not outthink you. The robot will not outthink you. They still have multiple neurons to go before they can even function as a human. Most robots can't even walk up steps. Lead with love, for you have a powerful heart, and understand your money and master it. A lot of people are rushing to be a part of the new wave of technology, but if your heart is not in it, the robot will definitely know and you will not get the results that you want. Live with gratitude and perspective. Choose your relationships wisely and learn from your mistakes. Again, these are basic principles that go for any business or anybody looking to transcend or navigate this world of growing technologies. Again, AI will transform your world in amazing ways if you know how to use it. Most basic uses, again, are calling a car or being in an automated car service, generating your favorite song that you want to hear from NLP, or even as much as a Google search. AI processes will not make your job obsolete, but they'll simply enrich it. Again, a lot of service-oriented jobs that are repetitive and mundane otherwise will not necessarily take you out of the workforce. However, it will facilitate a greater need for you to actually interact with your environment and have a more meaningful job. AI can provide solutions to problems that we have yet to encounter. So when you look at global warming, when you look at supply chain issues, when you look at the advent of technology on our youth, these are problems these are solutions. AI provides solutions that are going to further facilitate how we're going to go about some of these problems that may arise. But for now, we're still learning as a society, and we have to kind of take it step by step and not try and rush forward. My name is Bashir. Thank you.